Our story is called Where the Wild Things Are. Story and pictures by Maurice Sendak. What do you think the story will be about?
Maybe where the wild things are.
Why do you think that?
Just because it's the title and there's a monster on the front of the book.
What other clues do you see on the front of the book?
Just the monster and the sailboat and the water.
Do you think this story is going to be real or imaginary?
Imaginary.
Why?
Because there's a monster on the front.
Where the wild things are. Where the wild things are. Do you see any more clues on this page?
I see the boy and two other monsters.
What does that tell you about the book?
That there's going to be a boy in it.
Yeah. The night Max wore his wolf suit and made mischief of one kind. What does the word mischief mean?
It means being bad.
And another. His mother called him Wild Thing, and Max said, "I'll eat you up." So he was sent to bed without eating anything. How do you think that made Max feel?
It made him feel hungry.
How else could he have felt by looking at his face?
Sad.
That night in Max's room, a forest grew. And grew. And grew until his ceiling hung with vines and the walls became the world all around. Is this making sense so far?
Yes.
And an ocean tumbled by with a private boat for Max, and he sailed off through night and day. And in and out of weeks and almost a year to where the wild things are. And when he came to the place where the wild things are, they roared their terrible roars and gnashed their terrible teeth and rolled their terrible eyes and showed their terrible claws. What does the word terrible mean?
I don't know, maybe bad.
Bad? Till Max said, "Be still," and tame them with the magic trick of staring into all their yellow eyes without blinking once. And they were frightened and called him the most wild thing of all. What do you think is going to happen next?
I don't know, maybe they'll get along and have fun together?
Yeah, maybe. And made him king of all the wild things. And now, cried Max, let the wild rumpus start. What's a rumpus?
I don't know.
I don't know either. Maybe the pictures will give us clues. What do you think the rumpus means?
Have a party.
Party? How can you tell that's what it means?
Just because it looked like they were having fun together.
Now stop, Max said, and sent the wild things off to bed without their supper. And Max, the king of all wild things, was lonely and wanted to be where somebody loved him best of all. Have you ever felt lonely?
Sometimes.
What made you feel better when you were lonely?
Hanging out with my friends.
Then all around, from far away, across the world, he smelled good things to eat. So he gave up being king of where the wild things are. What do you think's going to happen next?
Maybe he'll go get something to eat.
Why do you think that?
Because he smelled food.
But the wild things cried, "Oh, please don't go. We'll eat you up. We love you so." And Max said no. The wild things roared their terrible roars and gnashed their terrible teeth and rolled their terrible eyes and showed their terrible claws, but Max stepped into his private boat and waved goodbye. How do you think the wild things felt about Max leaving?
Probably sad.
Why?
Because he left them.
And sailed back over a year, and in and out of weeks, and through a day. And into the night of his very own room, where he found his supper waiting for him. And it was still hot. Can you remind me what characters were in this story?
The wild things and Max.
What new words did we learn?
We learned lonely and rumpus.
I remember hearing the word frightened. Do you remember hearing that word?
Yeah, I remember it.
Have you ever felt frightened?
Sometimes.
What do you do when you feel frightened?
I go and I hang out with my mom.
Can you tell me what happened in the beginning, the middle, and the end of the story?
In the beginning, he got sent to his room because he was being bad. And then in the middle, he went and saw the wild things. And then at the end, he went back to his house to eat dinner.
You're right. Why did Max give up being the king?
Because he was lonely and he missed his mom.
If you were lonely and you missed your mom, would you give up being the king too?
Yes.
I would do that too. What do you think is the message of the book?
I think it's to love your mom.
To love your mom. I think that's a great message. Did you like the story?
Yeah, I liked it.
What did you like about it?
I liked the fact that Max and the monsters had a party.
Was there anything you didn't like about the story?
Not really.
That makes me happy. Thank you for reading the book with me.
You're welcome.